Well, greetings, and thanks for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Robert Locke, and I'm a national trainer in the property management industry. I've been in it for 40 years. And this particular series of videos that we're going through, called Agency, or Big A versus Small A Agency, has got about 15 videos in it, and it talks about this sticky area of agency and why you should operate as a Big A agent. So the topic for this particular video is why you should act as a Big A agent. Now, in this series, we kind of laid out the conversation this way. You've got an agent who's a small A agent, and you've got an agent who's a Big A agent, and what is the difference? The conversation goes like this. When I was in the listing and selling business, what I learned is that I have the listing for sale, and I executed on the owner's directives. I was a trusted advisor. I didn't make any decisions for him. I didn't go out and change the listing price without having a conversation, something in writing from the owner. If an offer came in, I didn't counter offer. I sent it over to the owner. I was a scribe. I acted as an intermediary. I did not stand in the shoes of the owner except for the purpose of marketing. Now, if you come out of that industry and try to step into property management, you're going to find that very difficult. And what you learn along the way, and it took me 10 or 15 years to learn this, I'm kind of a slow learner, but what you learn along the way is that if you act in property management, you would want to act as a Big A agent, meaning you stand in their shoes, you act as them. You have authority in the management agreement under what's known as a limited power of attorney, and you make decisions on behalf of the owner. So in sales, you do it one way. You try to carry that over into the property management industry, you're going to have a really hard time. The owner's going to get you in all kinds of trouble. You won't make any money. It's going to be a very difficult space for you to navigate in. Now, new managers are kind of afraid of making decisions for the owners. You know, they're terrified of the idea, and I was in the beginning. I was accustomed to the sales model where I just called the owner for everything. I wouldn't even go out and replace a couple of dead shrubs without having a conversation with the owner, much less brace up a wobbling deck without having a conversation with the owner. So what you discover along the way is it's really hard for people who are doing sales on Monday and property management on Tuesday, kind of straddling the fence and doing some property management along with sales. It's really hard to flip the brain on and off about today I'm operating as a small A agent. I got to call the owner and have a conversation. Or the next day you're dealing with a property management issue and you have the limited power of attorney in the management agreement to go ahead and make a decision and take care of it. Two completely different models, but people in our industry have not run into this enough to kind of figure out what this is all about. So in the sales, your training is to act as a small A agent, to kind of go to the owner for everything. In the management of business, it's kind of driven by a different set of principles. It's just driven by best practices. The owner will not like some of your decisions. You'll make some mistakes along the way. So as you go through this learning curve of moving from small A agent to Big A agent, you're going to make some mistakes along the way. You're going to do something on the property because the priority is the health and safety of the tenant, without having a conversation with the owner, or you're just going to notify the owner of what you're doing. And if you're standing before a judge, he's going to applaud you for taking care of the wobbly deck, taking care of the door lock that doesn't lock, taking care of the exterior floodlights because it's a high crime area and motion sensitive floodlights are on the house and they're not working. I'll ask the owner whether you should take care of those things as a small A agent. You should operate as a Big A agent and make the health and safety of the tenant the highest priority, not the wallet of the owner. Okay, now this is strange space for many of you because you've had decades of training in the sales business. You think you're not supposed to make these decisions for the owner, but you should let best practices and the safety and the health of the tenant drive it, not the owner, and certainly not the owner's wallet. Many of us in the beginning, it kind of looked like this. We were afraid of being sued. That's a pretty natural instinct, isn't it? So, Robert, if I make these decisions on behalf of the owner, I'm going to make the owner mad. Well, yeah, that's probably true, but you're going to do the right thing for the tenant. And if I do the wrong thing, the owner's going to sue me. Well, I did this for 35 years, boots on the ground. I had three lawsuits from owners. We won all three of them. Why? Because I spent hours in classes. I watched videos. I went to CE training. I put on CE training as well. I went to conferences. I wore my tailbone off sitting in fair housing classes, figuring out how to do it right. So you're the best trained. There's no question about it. Now, you're going to make a wrong decision along the way, but guess what? You're going to make decisions a lot better than the owner, because they're driven by their own wallet and their own experience, not by fair housing laws, rules of the EPA on lead-based paint, common sense about door locks and batteries in the smoke detector and wobbly decks and all that kind of stuff. So you will make a much better decision, trust me, than the owner will. So first of all, the owner doesn't know either. So who is the best person to make the decision? Clearly, if you're sitting in front of a judge, he's going to say, hold it, Mr. Agent, you're getting paid to be an expert in this area. You hold yourselves out to be an expert in property management, and you're charging these outrageous fees to manage this rental house. So you held yourself out as a professional. You got paid for being a professional. And now you're claiming that the owner told you to deny a comfort pet and you did it? Are you stupid? So what the judges think is that you should know. The owner's going to argue, if it all comes apart, Your Honor, the reason I hired a professional real estate agent to manage my rentals so these things wouldn't happen. You're going to get nailed one way or the other, so go out, surround yourself with some good property managers, get a lot of training, make the decision. Be a big A agent. It's the safest place to operate by far. They will refuse to do a repair. The most common battle you have in property management is something needs to be repaired in the house. The owner says, no, I lived there with that, so can they. Or I don't have $800 to put in, a new dishwasher or a new dryer or whatever it is. And the owners will make decisions based on their wallet and their sense of what's right and wrong in a rental property and what the tenant should put up with. They'll tell you to refuse a comfort pet. They'll tell you and refuse to let the tenant out of the lease because of military clauses. We've had all those things happen along the way. And I learned, kind of slow, but over time, I need to be making the decision, because I'll make the right decision. I'll follow the law, and I'll do the right thing for the tenant, and the judge will agree with me. So the owner will always decide based on their best interest and their pocketbook. Sometimes people, it is number 3. The owner may decide to go a cheap route. So we've had all this happen where there's some mold on something and the owner sends over his cleaning lady to kind of scrub it off. Well, might work, might not work. We had an owner one time that left washer and dryer behind, and lo and behold, it failed. And so we told him it's an old set and it needs to be replaced. He left it behind, and it was included in the leasing of the property. So he came in and he went to one of these apartment stores and bought one of these over and under washer and dryers that you see in mobile homes and you see in really kind of efficiency apartments where they fit into a closet. You got the washing machine below, and it'll take, a towel and a washcloth at a time, and then a dryer above it. Well, the tenant, at the end of the lease, they moved out. They weren't going to put up with that. It was a $1,200 a month rental. That was 15, 20 years ago. So owners will go on the cheap. They'll do something really stupid, and you'll get blamed for it because you're the property manager, of course. Now, your next highest mandate is to operate within your limited power of attorney. We talked about this before. So, you know a lot more than the owner does. You'll protect the health and the safety of the tenant, and we know that's the highest priority in the business. Now, where do you find information on this? We'd invite you to watch this whole series, okay? It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. trainingpropertymanagers.com/agency. Or if the extension isn't working, just look for this graphic on our products page and you should have your staff watch through this video series. It doesn't cost you anything. We just want the information to go out. You get a video every 4 or 5 days. It'll be 6 to 8 minutes. It'll really help you along in a kind of understanding why It's safer to operate as a big A agent. Good luck to you. Thanks for watching.